In this video, we will explain lookup and VLOOKUP functions. Lookup will search for a value in a row or column and return the corresponding value in another row or column. Let me show you this using the data in cell range B2 to F8. Let us use lookup to retrieve salesperson for a given order ID. Lookup function has two variations. The first one can search in one column and retrieve from another column, whereas the second one will only search and retrieve from one column. In this video, we will use the first one. I will show you three different search and retrieve cases using lookup function. In the first case, we want to search order ID and retrieve salesperson. In cell C11, I will enter equals, lookup, open parentheses, and click on FX, and select the first option in the select argument box. Now you can see lookup dialog box with three fields to input arguments. I will enter 20 in the field lookup value, and I will select cell range B3 to B8 for the field lookup vector, and select cell range D3 to D8 for result vector, and then click OK. You can see the lookup function has searched order ID value 20, and then retrieved salesperson Brad Crow in the same row but from a different column. In the second case, we want to search salesperson and retrieve order ID. In cell C12, I will enter equals, lookup, open parentheses, and click on FX, and select the first option in the select argument box. Now you can see lookup dialog box with three fields to input arguments. I will enter Brad Crow in the lookup value, and select cell range D3 to D8 for a lookup vector, and select cell range B3 to B8 for result vector, and then click OK. You can see the lookup function has searched Brad Crow and then retrieved order ID value 20. In the third case, let us examine how lookup function behaves when we try to find salesperson for an order ID which does not have an exact match in the data table. In cell C11, enter equals, lookup, open parentheses, and click on FX. In the cell argument option, select the first option. You can see lookup dialog box. Let me enter 135 in the lookup value. You can see that order ID 135 is not present in lookup vector cell range B3 to B8. Let cell range B3 to B8 be the lookup vector. Let cell range D3 to D8 be the result vector. Let me click OK. You can see lookup function has returned salesperson Thomas Kelly, even though there is no exact match for order ID 135. How to lookup function returning Thomas Kelly? While finding approximate matches, lookup function matches the closest value which is not greater than the lookup value. In addition, lookup function is flexible. It can retrieve values either from left or right of the lookup vector. You will notice this difference a little later in this video. Now, let us move into VLOOKUP function. VLOOKUP function will search and retrieve values in vertical arrays. This means VLOOKUP assumes that the data is arranged in columns. I'm going to show you three different search and retrieve cases using VLOOKUP function. First, let us consider the case of finding the salesperson given order ID. In cell D10, let me enter equals, VLOOKUP, open parentheses, and click on FX. You can see VLOOKUP dialog box with four fields to provide arguments. I will enter 20 in the field lookup value. The cell range for the table array should be carefully selected. The first column in the table array should be the column containing the lookup value, and table array should include the column in which the corresponding value to be retrieved. Therefore, cell range B3 to D8 should be the table array. Column index number is the serial number of the column containing the value to be retrieved. In this case, we want to retrieve salesperson, which is in the third column of the table array. Therefore, 3 will be the column index number. The last field in the dialog box is the range lookup. VLOOKUP will perform exact match if field is either left blank or filled with argument false. VLOOKUP will perform approximate match if we enter true. In this case, we want VLOOKUP to perform exact match. Hence, I'm going to enter false and then click OK. VLOOKUP will return the salesperson's name, Brad Crow. Next, let us consider the case of finding the salesperson given order ID. In cell D11, let me enter equals, VLOOKUP, open parentheses, and click on FX. You can see VLOOKUP dialog box with 4 fields to provide arguments. I will enter salesperson's name, Brad Crow, for the lookup value. The next step is to select the table array. Remember, the first column in the table array should be the column containing the lookup value, and it should include the column containing the value to be retrieved. Therefore, cell range D3 to B8 should be the table array. Excel will not allow us to select a cell range D3 to B8. Instead, let us select cell range B3 to D8 and check if that works. I will select 3 as column index number and enter false to get the exact match and click OK. You can see that the formula returns error NA. This means VLOOKUP searched the first column of the table array for Brad Crow, but Brad Crow was not present in the first column. Hence, the function returned NA. This means we cannot use VLOOKUP to retrieve values to the left of the search column. Finally, let us consider the case of finding salesperson given order ID which does not have an exact match in the table array. In cell D12, let me enter equals, VLOOKUP, open parentheses, and click on FX. You can see the VLOOKUP dialog box. Enter 135 in the lookup value. Select cell range B3 to D8 as table array. Enter 3 as column index number. Enter false to get exact match. You will see that the formula returns error NA. It is not a good practice to throw error NA. We should always give a meaningful message whenever a value is not found. For this, we will use the if NA function. If NA function returns a message of our choice if the formula returns error NA. On the other hand, if the formula does not return error NA, it returns the formula output. Let me show you how to use if NA. In cell D13, let me construct a formula using function if NA. The formula will be equals if NA VLOOKUP formula ID not found. You can see that instead of NA error, the formula is showing the error message. We recommend you use if NA. It makes your worksheet easy to read. In this video, we will cover HLOOKUP function. HLOOKUP function is a short form for horizontal lookup. It assumes your data is arranged in rows. Just like VLOOKUP, HLOOKUP will search a value and retrieve its corresponding value. I will show you 3 different search and retrieve cases using HLOOKUP function. In the first case, let me use HLOOKUP to find the salesperson associated with order ID. Cell range B3 to H7 has the data. In cell D10, let me enter equals, HLOOKUP, open parentheses, and click on FX. You will see HLOOKUP dialog box. Let me enter 20 in the lookup value. Remember, the first row of the table array should have lookup value, and table array must include the row containing the value to be retrieved. In this case, the value should be retrieved is in row 5. Therefore, I will select C3 to H5 cell range as table array. Alternatively, we could have selected cell range C3 to H6 or cell range C3 to H7 as table array. HLOOKUP would return the same value. But one cannot select cell range C3 to H4 as table array because it excludes the row containing the value to be retrieved. The salesperson is in row 5, which is the 3rd row in the table array. Therefore, enter 3 as the row index number. We are looking for an exact match. Therefore, enter false in field range lookup and click OK. In the second case, let me use HLOOKUP to find the order ID associated with salesperson. In cell D11, let me enter equals, HLOOKUP, open parentheses, and click on FX. You will see HLOOKUP dialog box. Enter salesperson name Brad Crow and lookup value. The lookup value is in row 5 and it should be the first column in the table array. The order ID value to be retrieved is in row 3. Excel will not allow to create a cell range H5 to C3. Instead, let me use C3 to H5 and see if that works. I will select 3 as column index number and enter false for range lookup to get an exact match. The formula returns NA, which is value not available error. This means the row containing the value to be retrieved cannot be above the row containing the lookup value. In the third case, let me use HLOOKUP to find the salesperson associated with order ID, which does not have an exact match in the table array. In cell D12, let me enter equals, HLOOKUP, open parentheses, and click on FX. You will see HLOOKUP dialog box. Let me enter 135 in the lookup value. Select cell range C3 to H5 as the table array. Enter 3 as row index number. Enter false to instruct HLOOKUP to perform exact match. You can see the formula returns error NA, which is value not available error. The best practice is to provide error explanation using function if NA. In cell D13, let me enter if NA function and insert HLOOKUP formula as an argument, and add error explanation order ID not found as the second argument. Now, the formula will show error message order ID not found instead of NA. This video illustrates how to use VLOOKUP to extract meaningful information from a dataset. Cell range B2 to F8 has data, and we want to extract a subset of the information in D11 to E14. I will use 2 cases to explain how to use VLOOKUP to extract meaningful information. Let me begin with the first one. In this case, we want to extract customer name for order ID. In cell D11, enter equals, VLOOKUP, open parentheses, and click FX. Now you can see a dialog box to enter arguments. Select cell C11 as lookup value. Select cell range B3 to C8 as table array. Enter 2 as the column index number, and enter false in the range lookup, and click OK. Copy the formula down to D14. Notice order ID equals 55 and order ID equals 1. VLOOKUP has returned NA error for customer name despite valid entries. Select D13 and click F2 to investigate the formula. You can see that the table array has shifted when formula is copied down. You must make cell references in table array as absolute reference. Select D11, click on FX, go to Field, Table Array. Click between B and 3 in cell reference B3 and press F4, and then between C and 8 in cell reference C8. At times you must click F4 multiple times to get $ prefix before both column and row references. This makes both cell references as absolute cell references. Click OK and copy the formula down to cell D14. VLOOKUP function has retrieved customer names correctly. Let us now write the formula to fill the sales amount column. In cell E11, enter equals, VLOOKUP, open parentheses, and click FX. Select cell C11 as lookup value. Select cell range B3 to E8 as table array, and fix the cell ranges. Enter 4 as the column index number. Enter false in the field range lookup, and click OK. Copy the formula down to cell D14. You can see that the VLOOKUP has returned the sales amount correctly. Now, let me begin with the second case. We want to construct formula in cell range D17 to F20 to extract a subset of the information from cell range B2 to F8. Information to be extracted pertain to 3 variables: customer name, sales amount, and delivery date. One might think we have to construct 3 separate formulas to retrieve these values. We will show you how you can use Excel 365 array formula feature to extract all the information using one formula. In cell D17, enter equals, VLOOKUP, open parentheses, and click FX. Select cell C17 as lookup value. Select cell range B3 to F8 as table array, and fix the cell references in table array. Now, we must modify column index number to retrieve values from 3 different columns instead of 1. For this, we need to specify the required columns inside curly braces separated by comma. Customer name is in second column, sales amount is in fourth column, and delivery date is in fifth column. So I will open the curly braces, write 2, 4, 5. Close the curly braces. Enter false in the range lookup and click OK. Let us copy the formula down to the first column. Select the fill handle in cell D17 and drag and copy the formula down to D20. Observe that all values are populated using a single formula. Note that this formula will now work if we copy the formula using fill handle in E17 or F17. In this video, we will show you the application of VLOOKUP using approximate match. Here's a caution. We must sort table array on the lookup value column to perform approximate match. I will use two cases to explain how to use VLOOKUP to perform approximate match. Let me begin with the first case. In this example, we would like to compute the student's grade points from the score. The cell range A2 to B7 has cutoff scores for letter grades. You can see that the cutoff scores are sorted in the ascending order. In cell range D2 to E14 has scores obtained by students in cell range F3 to F14. We must assign letter grades using the cutoff scores in cell range A2 to B7. In cell F3, let me enter equals, VLOOKUP, open parentheses, and click FX. Select cell E3 as lookup value. Select cell range A3 to B7 as table array, and make cell references and table array as absolute. Enter 2 as column index number. Enter true in the range lookup and click OK. Remember, true allows approximate match. Copy the formula to F14. Now you can see the assigned letter grades. Also, observe that VLOOKUP function matches the closest value, which is not greater than the lookup value. For instance, the score 79 is matched with 70, not 80. Now let's move to the second case. In this example, we would like to repeat the previous case with one difference. This time we want to try approximate match without sorting lookup value. The cell range A9 to B14 has the cutoff score for letter grades. Observe that the table is not sorted on score. The cell range D2 to E14 has the scores obtained by students. In cell range G13 to G14, we must assign letter grades to students. In cell G3, enter equals, VLOOKUP, open parentheses, and click function. Select cell E3 as lookup value. Select cell range A10 to B14 as table array, and make cell references in table array as absolute cell references. Enter 2 as column index number, enter true in the range lookup, and click OK. Copy down to G14. You can see that the letter grades are not the same as the ones in column F. This is because the score table is not sorted. This means VLOOKUP will not return correct values when the lookup value column is not sorted in ascending order. Let me sort this lookup value column in ascending order. Now you can see that the VLOOKUP is returning the letter grades correctly. This video covers match and index functions. Match and index are two separate Excel functions. They are used in combination to search and retrieve data just like VLOOKUP. Let me begin with match function and then go over to index function. Finally, I will show you how to use the value returned by match to feed index. Cell range B1 to F7 has data of sales orders. In cell C9, enter equals, match, open parentheses, and click on FX. You will see match function dialog box. Lookup value, lookup array, and match type are the three arguments. The lookup value is the value to be matched in the lookup array. Let me look up the value 1 in the order ID column. Therefore, enter 1 in the lookup value. The lookup array is the cell range of order ID. Enter cell range B2 to B7 for lookup array. The match type is 1 for the exact or next smallest match. The match type is -1 for the exact or next largest match. The match type is 0 for exact matches. In this video, we will use the exact match. So let me enter 0 as the match type. The match function returns 2. This means that the order ID value 1 is in the second row in the table. We can confirm this with the row position value here in cell A3. Next, let me show you how to use the match function to find a matching row for a text. Matching text values is different from matching numerical values. Let me explain with an example. In cell C10, enter equals, match, open parentheses, and function. You will see match function dialog box. I want to look up for Brad Crow in the salesperson column. Therefore, enter Brad Crow for the lookup value. Enter cell range D2 to D7 for the lookup array. Let me enter 0 as the match type. The formula returns 3. This means that Brad Crow is in the third row in the table. You can confirm this with the row position value in cell A4. Next, let me move on to index function. Index function can return a value from a data array given its row and column positions. It takes row and column numbers as input and returns a single value from a data array. I will use two cases to explain how to use index function. First case is by using index function for retrieving value from a one-dimensional array. One-dimensional array will have multiple rows in one column. In cell D9, enter equals, index, open parentheses, and click function. Index function has two versions. One version has 3 arguments and the other has 4 arguments. We want the one with 3 arguments. Therefore, select the first option and click OK. You will see index function dialog box. I want to look for the salesperson who is present in second row position. Therefore, select cell range D2 to D7 for array. Enter 2 in the row number. In the third field, column number is optional. It is required if an array has multiple columns and multiple rows. The array D2 to D7 has 1 column. Therefore, we can leave column number blank. Click OK. Index function returns Thomas Tucker. You can see that the salesperson in row position 2 is Thomas Tucker. Now let's move on to the second case. This is about using index function for retrieving values from a 2-dimensional array. 2-dimensional arrays will have multiple rows and multiple columns. In cell C12, enter equals, index, open parentheses, and function. Select the first option. Click OK. You will see index function dialog box. In this case, we want index function to retrieve values for customer name, salesperson, and delivery date in their second row of the array C2 to F7. Therefore, select C2 to F7 as array. Enter 2 in the row number. We want values from 3 columns to be returned. Therefore, let's open curly braces, enter 1, 2, 4, and close the curly braces. Click OK. You can see that the index function has returned Lotus Trust, Thomas Tucker, and 20th November 20. You can verify the values returned by index function with values in the second row of the data array. The final topic is how to use the value returned by match function to feed the index function. This method is an improvement over VLOOKUP function. It can retrieve values from the column to the left of the column containing lookup value. Let me explain this with an example. Cell C14, enter equals, match, open parentheses, and function. You will see the match function dialog box. I want to find order ID associated with salesperson Jeff Young. Enter Jeff Young in the lookup value, and enter 2 to D7 in the lookup array. Enter 0 as the match type, and the match function returns 5. Next, we must find the order ID for the salesperson Jeff Young. In cell D14, enter equals, index, open parentheses, and click on function. Select the first option and click OK. You will see index function dialog box. Select cell range B2 to B7 in the array. Now, instead of entering the values in row number, we want to feed the row number returned by match function. Therefore, select cell C14 and click OK. You can see index function has returned order ID 66. This video will illustrate how to use match and index functions to find values in rows. We will explain this using two cases. The first case is by retrieving value from a row in a column that has matching text. The cell range C2 to H6 has order-related data. Generally, data for each variable is stored in columns. In this case, notice that the data for each variable is stored in rows rather than columns. Step 1 is to find column position. In cell C9, enter equals, match, open parentheses, and click on function. You will see a match function dialog box. Enter Martin Kelly for lookup value. Enter C4 to H4 as lookup array. Enter 0, which is the exact match type. You can see match function has returned 4. This means the column position for the salesperson, Martin Kelly, is 4. You can confirm this with the column position value here in cell F1. Step 2 is to feed column position to index function and retrieve a single value from the array. In D9, enter equals, index, open parentheses, click on FX. Select the first option, click OK. You can see index function dialog box. Select cell range C3 to H3 in the array. This array has only one row. Therefore, leave row number blank. Cell C9 has a column position returned by match and function. Refer to cell C9 in the column number and click OK. You can see that the index function has returned Blue Water Associates. We can verify the customer name in column position 4 is Blue Water Associates. The second case is about finding order ID associated with salesperson using match and index functions. This case demonstrates improvement of match and index over HLOOKUP. We know that HLOOKUP cannot retrieve a value from a row above the row being searched. We can use match and index to overcome this limitation. Let me show you how to do this. In cell range C2 to H6 has order-related data. In cell C11, enter equals, match, open parentheses, and click on FX. You can see the match function dialog box. Enter Jeff Young as the lookup value. Enter C4 to H4 in lookup array. Enter 0 to perform exact match. You can see match function has returned 5. Now, let us feed match function output to feed index function. In cell D11, enter equals, index, open parentheses, and click on FX. Select the first option and click OK. Enter cell range C2 to H2 in the array. Skip row number. Refer cell C11 in the column number and click OK. You can see that the index function has returned order ID 66. We can verify that the order ID corresponding to Jeff Young is 66.